Hey everybody, it's Robyn and welcome back to my channel. Today on the Robyn's Nest, I'm going to be attempting to make a Zero the Ghost Dog cake, and that's going to make this little guy number 3 in my Nightmare Before Christmas Cake Trilogy. Now, if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen those videos yet, or you're just a big fan of the movie, I hope you'll pop over there, check them out, and hit that subscribe button while you're there. But first, stay tuned while I make Jack's best buddy, Zero the Ghost Dog. Now let's get into it. So to begin our Zero cake, we need to shape the body. So as you can see, I baked up 3 separate vanilla cake layers here. This one here is an 11 by 7 inch. Here we have a 6 inch round, and then we have a 4 inch round over here. So the first thing we're going to do is level out our 2 largest layers, so that way our cakes will stack nice and even. So once you finish leveling your layers, it's time to start stacking and filling them. So you're just going to take a little bit of icing, and you're going to apply that to your cake board. So your cake will have something to stick to. You're going to place your first layer, the big one. And then we're going to stack the rest off a little bit to the side. And now we're going to pop our cake into the fridge for about 10 or 15 minutes just to firm up a little bit before we carve it. Alright, so I've thoroughly chilled my cake and it's ready for carving. So I'm basically just going to trim it down and try to smooth things out a little bit, and if I need to, I'm going to use some of my cake scraps to fill in the nooks and crannies and uneven areas. So I'm just going to take a small serrated knife and we're just going to use a light sawing motion, and we're just going to start cutting off a little bit at a time. Alright, I'm pretty happy with how that looks, so now we're going to give this a crumb coat and pop it in the fridge to chill, and when we come back, we're going to start working on Zero's Rice Krispie Treat head. Alright, so to make his Rice Krispie head, we're just going to be using some regular ready-made Rice Krispie squares. And we're just going to take a bunch of them and we're going to compress these together really, really well and then mold them until we get the shape that we want. Now, I do want to have his mouth open, but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to pull that off, so we'll have to see how that goes. Alright, so I've got my Rice Krispies shaped like a head now, and I think that looks pretty good. But I am going to leave the mouth closed because my nose isn't as strong as I would like it to be. So because it is a little bit wobbly, I'm actually going to take a Wilton brand flour wire, and we're going to put this up inside the nose on a bit of a curve so it'll stay pointed up like this for us. Now, because he has a little jack-o'-lantern at the end, I'm also going to leave a little piece of the wire sticking out so it has something to attach to. Alright, so we've got the shape of our head and our wire is inserted. So now it's time to get this puppy crumb coated. So as you can see, I've attached my head to a small wooden dowel, which I've inserted into some styrofoam to help it stand up. Now, by doing this, I'm hoping it's going to make my job a little bit easier when frosting it, and I'll be able to get at all angles and hopefully not mess it up. Alright, so I finished my crumb coat, but as I was doing it, I noticed my nose started to droop quite a bit. So I assumed my wire wasn't strong enough. So I took that one out and I reinserted 2 20-gauge wires, which I have taped together with floral tape. And that seems to be a little bit better. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge to let it set for a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to make them some cute little ears. Alright, so his ears are actually super simple. We're just going to take a little bit of white fondant, which I've already added some Tylo powder to. And we're just going to knead this a little bit and roll out a nice large sausage shape that we're going to taper on either end. Alright, now once you've tapered off your ends, you're only going to need a couple of small pieces, approximately 4 to 5 inches. So we're just going to trim these down. And we're going to insert these onto some flower wire. But first, I'm actually going to bend my wire. You want a little bit sticking out, so this is going to go into the top of your cake. And then the rest, you're just going to kind of squiggle it a little bit and make it look like his ears are flying. Now we're going to insert our little wire into one end of our sausage. And we're just going to feed it all the way through until it reaches the corner here. Now you don't actually want these to be too big either, because you don't want them to be too heavy because they have to stick out of the top of the cake. So you're just going to play with them until you're sort of happy with how they look. And I noticed his ears are kind of flat, so I'm going to flatten them out a little bit here. Alright, there we go, and now they look like they're kind of floating in the air. So you're just going to play with these until you're happy with how they look, then you're going to set them off to the side to dry for a couple hours until they firm up nice and hard. Alright, so we finished making his cute little ears and I've set them off to dry. So now we're going to make his adorable little jack-o'-lantern nose. So I have a little piece of orange fondant here, which I've added a little tiny bit of Tylo powder to. And we're just going to roll this into a nice tight ball. And we're going to mark off the little grooves to make it look like a pumpkin. Then I'm going to roll out this little piece of yellow fondant and we're going to cut out a little face to apply to our jack-o'-lantern. And voila, a perfectly adorable little jack-o'-lantern for his cute little nose. So I'm going to set this off to the side to dry with his ears for a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to get our cake finished up and get it covered in some fondant. Alright, so we're going to start with Zero's body because this one should be the easiest one to do. And I want to give the fondant a little bit of time to settle on the cake before I add his head. So we're going to take some white fondant and I'm going to take my extra large rolling pin and we're going to roll this out nice and flat. And then I'm going to take my rolling pin, use it to lift up my fondant so I don't tear it, and then we're going to drape it over the cake and I'm going to use my hands to smooth it all out. Alright, so now we don't want to smooth this out completely. We want to give this sort of a flowy sheet kind of effect. So I'm just going to secure it around the base of the neck, just on the back of the body a little bit, and then we're going to leave little ripples all the way around and then we're going to trim it. Alright, there we go. I think his body looks really good. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge to chill and let it set for a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to start working on the more difficult part, Zero's head. Alright, so for this next part, I'm not exactly sure how I want to approach this. I guess you could say with a hope and a prayer. So I'm going to start by rolling out a piece of white fondant. We're going to get him covered up and I'm going to trim it down as best as I can and hopefully it looks really good. And if it does, I'm going to start my assembly, put the cake together, and when I'm finished, I'll show you what he looks like. And ta-da! Here he is, guys. Everybody's favorite little undead pup, Zero the ghost dog. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this cake was gonna be super simple, but it was actually quite a challenge. Turns out Rice Krispie squares are not my favorite medium to work with. They are quite difficult, but I'm actually really happy with how this turned out, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the video too. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that big thumbs up button and leave me lots of love in the comment section too. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you receive a notification every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy Halloween!